Well, it's a huge privilege and honor to have the legend Mr. Naseeruddin Shah with us on Bollywood Hungama. It's a pleasure having you, first of all. And
thank you.
Sir is doing this movie called Irada.
Yeah.
And very interesting sort of dialogue, sir. Very interestingly mounted dialogues, and even the premise is very unconventional as well.
It's a film which is been made out of concern for the environment, and not only what everybody on earth is doing to it, global warming and the polar ice caps melting and all these things it talks about, but it talks of an immediate problem that we are having in our country, which is the poisoning of the soil, the poisoning of the water by the chemical industries, by the huge chemical industry makers who re-inject their waste back into the soil. And in the area where this film is set, it's in fact true that the incidence of cancer there is the highest in the world. The water is undrinkable. The water is useless for irrigation. The vegetables that grow in that soil are not good enough to eat. And so it deals with that issue, but in the form of a thriller, in the form of a revenge story. So hopefully the category into which this film Irada can be put would be a film like Wednesday, which was also realistic in appearance, but was talking of a pretty unbelievable situation. At least what the stand that the protagonist takes is something nobody in real life could pull off. But it's a thrilling idea, and it gives voice to the concerns of many people in the audience who feel that yes, sahi kiya isne, bhale hi wo fantastical cheez thi. So hopefully this film will also strike that kind of a nerve in the audience.
Correct. And you're also having Arshad Warsi as part of the star cast, and you've shared wonderful chemistry with him, both in Ishqiya as well as Dear Ishqiya. Do you have scenes with Arshad in the film?
Yes, but not too many. There's another movie I've done with Arshad, which I would like to forget, which I think he would also like to forget, so I won't talk about that. So it's the fourth film actually that we've done together. And he is playing the investigating officer. So there are 3 or 4 scenes with him, which are major scenes, but we're not buddies, we're not friends, we don't have the kind of humorous exchanges that we had in Ishqiya. It's not that kind of a spirit at all. So the audience who goes there expecting Babban and Khalu might be disappointed, so that's why I think it's my duty to inform them that this is not Babban and Khalu at all. These are 2 completely different characters, and I hope the audience can appreciate that rather than to get what they expected.
Absolutely. In fact, I loved Dear Ishqiya, and the portion when you say at the end of it, Lihaf. Many people wouldn't understand the context maybe, but it is, you're referring to Ismat Chughtai's
story, Lihaf.
It's a famous story. This is a movie which is not coming with too much of fanfare in terms of promotion, because when I was watching the promo, I felt that such movies deserve more promotion.
I think this whole business of promotion is overrated. To my mind, it is nonsensical. It's a waste of money. Aamir did no promotion for Dangal.
Absolutely.
He didn't go anywhere. It's the biggest hit, not only of the year, but of history, it seems. So what do you gain by drawing thousands of hysterical people to look at you? It's just, I think these actors enjoy doing this. That's why they do it. And blowing up that much money is no big deal for them. But I don't believe that promotion can make a film successful. A film is successful on its own merit. Promotion can make it more successful, perhaps. But promotion can't convert a bad movie into a good one.
Absolutely.
When in fact, when Wednesday was made, there was no promotion done.
Absolutely.
There was hardly a poster up in town, and there were black and white posters of me and Anupam Kher, not even of any heartthrob type of guys. The movie did not do well in its first week. It picked up from the second week. So a film like Irada doesn't really need the plugging. People decide months in advance what movie they want to see, and they see it, irrespective of who tells them what.
And how's the experience of being a new director, from what I understand, and I think newer approach as well in terms of, I think the background score is interesting.
It's not a new experience for me to be directed by a
You've worked with
new
many
director. I've
directors.
worked with many.
Right, sir.
I must have worked with more than 100
Right, sir.
first-time directors.
Right, sir.
And I have always said that I have never regretted working with a first-time director. I have often regretted working with a veteran.
Right.
But with a first-time director, I've never regretted it because the first-time director has more to lose.
Right.
There's a greater fire in the belly. He has more to prove. And in a lot of cases, those first-time directors have made their best films as their first films.
Right.
You can check the track record of many of our serious filmmakers.
Right.
So, I always enjoy. This film I'm doing right now is with a first-time director too.
Right.
The film Hungry, which I did in
Right.
January, is by a first-time director as well.
Absolutely.
Then I've done a Gujarati movie called
Da,
which is again by a first-time director. So, I have a soft spot for first-time directors.
And then you did Parzania, I think that was the second film of Rahul Dolakia.
It was his second.
Right.
And I've done many. Well, when I did Albert Pinto, was Saeed's second film. Jaane Bhi Do Yaro was Kundan's first. I did Vinod Chopra's first film, Ketan
Right.
Mehta's first film,
Right.
Sahi Paranjpe's first film, Shekhar Kapoor's first film.
Right.
So, I've always found it stimulating to work with a first-time director. I've never regretted it, as I said.
Right. So, in Irada as well, we are seeing that you're doing a character role per se in terms of, and which is making its presence felt in terms of the promo. You've said a very interesting thing in an interview recently about Aamir's choice of films that he's doing, especially in a movie like Dangal as well, that he actually prefers to be like an actor who's not threatened by good actors, and he wants good actors along with himself, be it Lagan or any of the movies.
Yeah.
How important is to have good actors opposite you, and why one should not feel insecure of having good actors around?
You should not feel insecure because acting is not a competition.
Ji.
Unfortunately, this fallacy exists too much in our film industry. कि इसने उसकी छुट्टी कर दी, and all this kind of nonsense talk happens all the time.
Right.
And you won't find big stars terribly secure if they are surrounded by good actors, and Aamir is an exception to that. Right from, I'd say way back, even before he made Lagan, the movie with children that he made, Mahesh Bhatt, Rahi Pyar Ke.
Hame Rahi Pyar Ke.
Yeah. There he had Mushtaq Merchant, who gave a fantastic performance.
Very good performance, yes.
He boosted the career of a guy like Mukesh Rishi in Sarfarosh.
Correct.
And he made sure there were guys like Yashpal and Vivek and, all very good actors around him in Lagan, all of whom were right for the parts.
Right.
And that has been his track record always.
Right.
It's highly commendable. He always plays the central part himself, but that I don't suppose he has any control of, even if, firstly, I think he enjoys playing the central part. But also it's necessary,
Right.
considering the kind of movies that he makes, because it needs a pivot like him to raise the money to make films like that, because he doesn't make small budget movies. So I really admire what Aamir is doing, and he is a one-off. Not only in this, but also in that he puts his money where his mouth is.
Absolutely.
Which is hell of a thing,
Absolutely.
No producer in Bombay puts in their own money.
Absolutely. And that in such subjects which are totally unsafe, that there's no romantic angle like what it is in Dangal. He's aging, he's putting
That's
up
where
weight.
Aamir is very clever.
He's putting up weight.
They are unconventional subjects, but I think he makes sure that they are safe. Even a film like Peoply Live made money.
Yeah.
I think the only one which didn't was Dhobi Ghat, but the other one too, the wonderful Delhi Belly.
Delhi Belly, yes.
So he's not for art for the sake of art.
Right.
He's for good cinema, but he's also knows what his audience wants, and he supplies it.
But this entire thing was happening that Dangal became the biggest hit, and one of your clips went. A lot of people, they started taking note of it. You have said in some interview that in 100 years, if anyone in Bollywood can really be remembered, then it is going to be Aamir Khan. And what you've said about the promotion part as well, I think it's extremely interesting that he doesn't over-promote. He doesn't really just get into too much of the entire fans thing as well, that various fan club, the way a lot of other stars, they tend to pursue. And somewhere he works so much in terms of just fine-tuning the movie that in its own way it carries a word of mouth, and people come to it.
And I'm sure he oversees every department
Right.
of the movies. because the directors who he's made brilliant films with have not been able to repeat that level of performance again without him.
Right.
I don't mean to knock those gentlemen who directed those movies.
Absolutely.
But I really think that it was Aamir's input which made those movies as memorable as they are.
So recently you had a loss. Mr. Om Puri, he passed away, and you've spoken about him in your autobiography as well, and even he has always spoken about you in very, very glowing terms. This entire incident which you had with Jaspal, and he actually came to, in fact, harm you physically, and Omji was there. How much of a loss do you feel is it for the film industry?
I have to state that the film industry will go on. Nobody is indispensable as far as the film industry is concerned.
Okay.
I mean, they can do without anybody, provided their films keep making money. No one is indispensable there. It's a loss to his loved ones, and it's a potentially great old age cut short, which is what I am upset about. I am grieved, of course, but I'm angry with him for not looking after himself.
Right.
He had a responsibility to look after him. He had no business letting himself go to seed the way he did. So, well, that's the path he chose. But the fact is that he had a very full life. He achieved everything he wanted to, considering where he started and where he got. Right. For a person who couldn't speak English well, he did 25 English language films. Absolutely. He came close to being nominated for Oscars. He got an OBE and all that sort of thing. I think he was pretty satisfied, tript, jisko kehte hain, career-wise. He didn't have the urge to do anything more. The fact that his personal life was in a mess was a sad thing.
Right, but sir, it also came to light that somehow he was quite hurt with the entire thing, the way the news channels in the last few months of his life, the way they just it was hurtful for many people. Even personally, I felt that he was
news
totally
channels, they're like vultures. They feed
context.
on this kind of thing.
Ji.
They were hardly kind to him. He was going through a very bad phase.
Right.
He was very unhappy.
Right.
And all they could do was to mock him and report unsavory facts, which they should not really have been doing. They should have left him alone. He made mistakes, no doubt.
Right.
But who doesn't?
Absolutely.
I think it's, at least it's a good thing. It was timely in the sense that he'll be remembered with regard and with love. If this had gone on for another few years, I don't know what his state would have been.
Okay.
So I pray for his soul to rest in peace. I'm sure he's in a happier place than he was.
See, this entire incident that has happened with on the sets of Padmavati with Mr. Bhansali recently, and the entire drama that has been taking place.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to talk on that because I really don't know what the film Padmavati contains, and I have no idea of the accurate history of that. So I'm not.
Absolutely.
But it's getting very worrisome that these extra constitutional authorities.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. Jaya Bachchan ji has said in Rajya Sabha yesterday. I don't know if you're aware of it.
No, not.
She has creativity should not be subjected to such treatment, and sometimes they are threatened. Sometimes films are not allowed to be screened. Sets are vandalized, and it takes a violent turn as it happened in Jaipur recently. What message are we sending to the film fraternity, which is one of the most important and vibrant ambassador of the country?
Yeah.
This is what she has said in the Rajya Sabha
Yeah,
yesterday.
it's right, but it's nothing new.
Ji.
This has been happening always.
Yes,
there was a film called Kissa Kursi Ka in the Congress time, which made fun of the emergency, which was banned, and the print was burnt.
Okay.
And the producer was threatened and so on. So it's coming to light a lot more now. It's becoming more blatant. But the fact is, the precedent has been set long ago. Jesus Christ Superstar was banned by the Congress government.
Right.
Satanic Verses was banned by the Congress government.
Was banned by Congress.
Yeah. So what's happening now is nothing new. The frequency with which it is happening is worrisome, and the alacrity with which people take to violence.
Correct.
Yeah. But I really don't know what occurred on the sets, so I'm not qualified to say.
So could you please tell us something about your forthcoming ventures. I think you're having The Hungry, which is based on a
The
Shakespeare
Hungry is
play.
based on Shakespeare's
lesser known Shakespeare.
Titus Andronicus. It's a little known Shakespeare play which no one seems to have read.
Right.
And I'm not surprised because it's not a very pleasant play. It's his first play. It's a tragedy and it's a very brutal, ghastly, gruesome story. Adapted very nicely to the small town mafiosi of UP.
Right, sir.
The landlords, the super rich industrialists, you know, and so on, who people these small towns. The kind of brutality that happens, and I mean, I'm from such a family myself, so I've seen incidents of this kind happening in my own family. It's been directed by Bornila Chatterjee, who's a first-time filmmaker,
right.
And I was absolutely delighted with the way the film went. We completed it a day ahead of schedule, within budget, very small budget, financed by Film London.
Okay.
To celebrate Shakespeare's 400th or 500th birth anniversary or death, I don't know. Every year they're celebrating something about Shakespeare. So they financed this movie and I'm really looking forward to it.
Right. And so can you please talk about Da, for example? That's a Gujarati play where you're playing a Da, right. Da.
Yeah, the film is called Da.
Right.
It's about a group of children who fail in their exams.
Right.
And they see a jadugar, so they go to the jadugar to ask him कि हमें कुछ जादू दिखाओ कि हम एग्जाम में कैसे पास हो जाएं.
Correct.
So the jadoo which the jadugar teaches them is the most interesting part of it, and they end up passing their exams. It's a very sweet, very gentle, and entertaining movie. Not a children's movie, but it has children in the main lead.
Right.
I have a brief appearance as the jadugar.
As a jadugar. So what are the other assignments that you're having?
In films, none. I've acted in Begum Jaan.
Correct.
2 scenes in Begum Jaan with Vidya.
Srijit Mukherjee's
Srijit's film.
Vidya Bhatt.
Yeah. And Dhar. And there's another film made by Azan Khan, son of Mazhar and Zinat.
Okay.
Called Bankster, which I did last year, which is not yet released. And this film, which is tentatively titled Kuch Ummeedein Aisi.
Kuch Ummeedein Aisi.
Yeah, which is again about children and about old age. And it's a very sweet film. Apart from this, I don't have any other movies on hand.
Right.
Because I'm going to be starting on a play which I'm doing, which I will be performing continuously for 2 months.
Right.
I've always wanted to do this.
Right.
Give my actors the experience of performing the same show every night for 2 months. So it'll be opening in September at the Experimental Theatre, and then at the Prithvi Theatre. It's a play called The Father.
The Father, okay.
And I'll be directing it and acting it.
Okay, and so it is widely known that theatre is something that gives you maximum happiness.
Yeah.
Somehow you find that to be closest to your heart. Is it something that keeps you going in terms of finding new vistas?
I enjoy it.
Keep on discovering. Right.
That's the only reason I do it. I like to do what I enjoy. If I feel this movie will be enjoyable to do, I do it. It could be enjoyable for any reason. It could be enjoyable because it's a great script, because it has a great character, because it has a lot of money, because it's being shot in an interesting location or anything. It has to be enjoyable. And I find theatre extremely enjoyable. Acting in movies, I'm finding less and less enjoyable as I get older.
Right. And so your autobiography is something that it's been a bestseller. It is something that people have really admired, and primarily because of the honesty with which you've written about almost anyone and everyone, including yourself. You've been brutally honest about yourself in terms of analyzing yourself. Can we have like a theatrical production based on your books?
Not by me. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I've even been asked about the film rights, but I'm not parting with the film rights. I don't want... well, if someone like Shekhar Kapoor wants to make it, I'd agree. But there aren't too many other directors who I'd happily give it to.
Right, but Shekhar Kapoor, maybe I think you've told me this earlier as well, sir. That if Shekhar Kapoor
Shekhar is probably the only one.
But he doesn't.
Sai Paranjpe. If Sai wanted to make it, I would let her make it. But I can't think of too many other people.
Right. Katha is being remade.
Oh God, it has been remade, I believe.
Right.
Yes, by somebody or the other.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see it. There's talk of remaking Masoom, remaking Sparsh. I don't know. If they want to remake it, let them remake it.
Have you seen Kabil? So how do you look at it, sir? Because most of the films which are made, like say if a film on say blind people is made, the reference point becomes Sparsh, for example, and even when it comes to Katha, for example, everyone knows precisely how you acted, and you and Farooq Saab, the sort of camaraderie that you guys had shared, and many would find it that it was opposites, because Farooq Saab's personality was more quieter, and you were
she wanted to cast against type.
Yeah, and that I think worked brilliantly.
Yeah.
So how do you look at this aspect, sir? That all those things are so fresh, people still refer to them. And
how do I look at what?
That entire thing that if there is a reference point, it goes back to your movie somehow. Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro, Sparsh, Katha, somehow.
Well,
all those references.
I'm proud of the fact that those movies are still remembered 35 years after they were made. Albert Pinto, which no one has seen. Everybody knows the title, but no one has seen it. Sparsh is remembered over the years. It wasn't very successful when it was released, nor was Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro. It was a moderate success.
Right.
Over the years, it has become a cult. But that happens. I mean, every generation successively influences the next generation.
Right.
So I haven't seen Kabil. I really don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if young Hrithik has given a very good performance.
He is excellent.
Because he's a very hard-working actor, and I really like him.
So thank you very much for your time, and looking forward to Irada. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, sir. That's all we have from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.